Dig up there says he has 21,000 channel points. I made a tier list on here about the best ninjas. I've also made the ranged weapons, and I plan to make many, many more. Comment down below for what you guys want to see. But I've been putting it up to Twitch polls to make the decisions, and Sig put in over 190,000 points. To those who watch Twitch, that is a lot of channel points. So we're talking about hero abilities today. This should be fairly straightforward, but I kind of want to get into it. So let's just start from the left and go from there. For those who don't know, S tier is the best of, I don't know why there's an S plus. Archer made these, so you know, take that with a grain of salt. If there's anything missing here or any future tier lists, you know, blame him. And then E tier will be the worst. So Bull Rush is one of those abilities where you can't put it S. It's not useful that much. The best it's good for is pushing mini bosses around, which is not always something you want to do, and it is kind of good for like clearing out not abilities but objectives. So if you have like a bunch of gnomes to kill or something, a Bull Rush will break all of them instantly. I'll put it in C tier because it does have legitimate utility, but anti-material charge is the same thing. Pushing mini bosses can also be obtained or achieved by a couple of spears in the game, the Scrapper Spear and the one that I can't, Sir Lancelot. Crescent Kick, that's an easy E tier. Does very little damage. An entire loadout dedicated to Crescent Kick is still terrible. So there you go. Decoy, really good for crowd management. I'll put that in B tier. Anytime I'm running a constructor with a decoy, if I am in a position to be dealing damage, dropping a decoy plus plasma pulse is a really good combo. I might... no, I'm not going to put them in A tier. It's just not that good. Plasma Pulse does do a ton of damage, but to like a single target. If you're ever above a Smasher or a Mist Monster, drop a Plasma Pulse on its head. It'll be worth it. I'm going to note now, a little late in the video here, that I do have Twitch set up here for a little bit of credibility. Like, if anybody in chat disagrees with me, that's where you guys can kind of chime in, and I wanted to immortalize their thoughts on this. So that was not a mistake to leave chat up there. All right. Dragon Slash S tier. It is just cream of the crop when it comes to crowd clearing. I think it might be the best crowd clearing ability in the game. It's just insane. I won't be using S plus because I feel like that's redundant. I don't know why it's set up like this. Grenades. Oh, grenades. Even after getting buffed, an entire loadout. Like, it's really good A tier damage for like killing a Mist Monster or something, but really low range. It's not that amazing, but it is better than Plasma Pulse. So like, I'll put it in like a high B tier. I really do think it's good, but I don't know about that. S tier are all going to be balanced in my opinion. Like, whether minigun is better or worse than Dragon Slash is the next guy's opinion. That is not what we're here to talk about. Minigun is insanely good single target damage, really, really powerful, and it has a lot of great heroes that buff it. A minigun loadout is insanely strong. I was just using it myself. Going Constructor, even after getting buffed, damage and armor is just not... You are super slow, super clunky, and you're not even doing that much more than regular melees. I'm putting that in D. Like, it got a buff. It's kind of good now, but it's really, really not that strong. Now, Kunai Storm, not that much damage, a little bit of crowd clearing abilities, but with the right loadout, this is an A tier ability. With Overtaker Hero making that cooldown 0, it is really, really fun to spam and quite strong. Not to mention, there are some uses for Kunai, but the only thing that I'm thinking of here is Lynx, and Kunai is not responsible for that being useful. It's Lynx's 140% damage bonus that we're using. The actual Kunais usually just get shot into the ground. We're not even caring about that. It's floating in the air that matters. But it is kind of tied to Lynx, so I'm going to put it in A tier because loadout dedicated to that is incredibly strong. Lefty and Righty. Here's something that's going to be a little interesting. In a general overview, I want people to hear this. I do believe it's a C tier simply because of the cooldown. It's ridiculously long, but I'm putting this in S tier because Lefty and Righty does a shitload of damage. It's incredibly strong. Carbide plus Lefty and Righty is the best thing in dungeons. Don't even at me. Lefty and Righty paired with the Bang and Pow from Raven is incredibly strong in the venture seasons that allow you to reduce the cooldown. If they ever allow this thing to have a cooldown that's less than 20 seconds, it'll easily be its own loadout and you wouldn't even have to use regular weapons. Incredibly fun ability when permitting. But again, the massive cooldown makes it like a C or a D tier. It's just not even worth using. But for venture seasons that allow it and dungeons, I got to put it in S tier. It's just insanely good. So this is one of those things where people who don't watch the video and don't hear that explanation will disagree with me and complain. But I think that's pretty sound in my opinion. So, all right. Phase shift. Literally, I might be a little generous with this, but S tier. It's got about an 8-second cooldown and you get 3 charges with most Outlanders. So you're zipping around the map. Activates Chaos Agent extremely nicely. I know that like factoring in Chaos Agent shouldn't be super fair. I want to judge these abilities on their own merits, but can we not ignore that he exists? Chaos Agent, for those who don't know, when you trigger an ability, it instantly reloads your weapon. With Outlanders that buff SMGs, Phase Shift is incredibly useful. It's amazingly powerful. And you're also getting mobility out of that. It's just so good. S tier, I think, is fair. And it's cool to put it up there because it's not a damage. You know, it's not a damaging thing. It doesn't do any damage. Don't even talk to me about Red Willow. But yeah, Rosie Turret, really, really great for damage. It is a very, very high DPS. But it's, you know, got a 3-minute cooldown, and it's just yikes. Yikes. I'm going to put it above Grenades. I think it's a high B tier because it's great against mini-bosses. You can put this on your defense and do some meaningful damage, but Rosie has a lot of drawbacks, like cooldown, damage drop-off is insane. Getting it to not be a physical minigun or a physical turret is pretty tough to do, so it's bad against elemental stuff. It has a lot of drawbacks, and you are a sitting duck as well, so it's basically impossible to stay alive, especially in our current season of Love Lobbers, but I think it's a high B tier because it's super useful when it is active. Something that might surprise people and would have surprised me quite a while ago is Seismic Smash being in high A tier. Seismic Smash, I don't know if you've used it, recently, is incredibly strong. It actually does really good damage, slices through a crowd of enemies, knocks them back. So if a blaster's about to zap you, you can just knock them around. I usually don't value impact, but it does come in play here. Also does a ton of damage. If you hit an enemy and knock it back at the same time, that can allow it to be hit by the Seismic Smash twice sometimes, which can insta-kill a nurse, even if you're under-leveled. It's super useful. It's not anything you should build a loadout around, although you can. I'll link my loadout videos down below if you guys are curious. It's not its own loadout, but it is paired with a lot of Outlanders, and it's just a great tool to have in your arsenal. That was not easy to say for me. Shock Tower. Shock Tower and Teddy, I'm going to put together. You're going to be surprised to see me not put it in S tier. I will put it in high A tier because Shock Tower and Teddy kind of go hand in hand. Shock Tower summons the tower, zaps a bunch of enemies, really great for crowd clearing. Almost always, not every time, but almost always paired with a Teddy, which Teddy can be its own loadout. And the reason I'm not putting it in S tier is because it doesn't stand its ground in the highest level zones. Once you get to like the 116, 124 zones, Teddy is just not doing it all anymore. It does for the most adventures. It's a great way to not have to rely on RNG weapons, but I personally do not value it in S tier. I know a lot of people might argue with me, but it's not my first time playing this guy. I've ran Teddy. I don't see the power. It's not going to do anything in a 160. But it's insanely useful in venture seasons that buff the Teddy, and it's really good as a starting kit. Like I said, the first 116 power level zones, up to 116s at least, or 124s, it's going to be great. And paired with the Shock Tower, it's a great combo. Seismic Smash, not that exciting. I'll put it in like above Bull Rush, but not that good. Oop, I had that right the first time. It's kind of good immediate damage, not a lot. It's not that great. You can spam it with Archetype Havoc to run faster, but it's kind of whatever. Really, you know, kind of whatever. Now, these last three are tricky, because Smoke Bomb used to be S tier with the range with Infiltrator Ken, but they nerfed it, and it's not that great. It's really good for like somewhat crowd clearing. If I put Kunai in A tier because of the spam ability, I think Smoke Bomb is a sleeper pick. I'll put it in high B tier. I think Smoke Bomb loadouts are decent. Chat's saying C, I'm saying high B, because I have seen Smoke Bomb delete full-on encampments, and I'm tainted by that view. But the cooldown is not enough for it to be its own loadout, and it's just tricky. I'll agree with Chat a little bit. We'll put it behind Grenade. It's nice to throw as a ninja, but man, if they reduce that cooldown or the range, Smoke Bomb, I'm telling you, is a very, very sleeper pick. Do not forget about this ability. Same thing with Kunai, or not Kunai, but Throwing Stars. Throwing Stars got a bad rap in my ninja video. A lot of people kind of argued for it. It is really good single target, like A tier for taking out mist monsters, and it's not a group killing thing, even though it does have piercing. I'll put it up there. I'll put it right next to Seismic Smash because both of these are abilities that aren't your primary build, but both of them have really good pierce, crowd clearing, and great single target damage. Using your Throwing Stars against, like, for example, I run Kunai Lynx in MSK, in the Mythic Storm King, and I'll use routinely my shurikens for taking out 160 power level mist monsters. They're effective for it. It's, you know, they got to be physical, but they work, and it's honestly better than you might think. So I'll put it in A tier along with some of the best abilities in the game. And finally, we have Warcry. Once again, it's okay. You know what? It might be the same as Lefty and Righty. This is kind of my opinion. This is where things are going to be switched around a little bit. But the cooldown means it can't be its own loadout. You can't build a Warcry loadout, and you're almost always waiting forever. But you get damage, attack speed. It buffs your entire team. It's incredibly strong. If you guys have ever used Warcry plus Chaos Agent, the mini bosses die very fast because you can unload your entire inventory, your entire mag size, Warcry to instant reload, unload, then throw a grenade, you know, with a shotgun build, incredibly useful, plus it buffs your whole team. I think I'm going to put it in low S tier. I think it's incredibly useful when it's available, but it's just so rarely useful for the whole mission because it's just the cooldown is tremendous, and that's where some people might disagree, but I think I'm good. I think I'm good with this tier list. A lot of abilities are very useful. Like B tier and higher means most abilities are almost always being used for something. I wish more abilities could be their own loadout. I think dedicating 6 heroes to one ability isn't that big of a deal. Like the minigun loadout only has like 1 or 2 free perks. Like it's a pretty dedicated build, and it would be fun to use abilities only, especially in Ventures, where we are relying solely on RNG for our weapons. It's nice to have something consistent in the way of abilities. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below what you guys thought. If you guys want to make your own list, I'll link this down below. Comment down below what you guys might want to see in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.